I watched the furniture delivery truck pull away from my mother's house, and that's when everything started to fall apart. The Italian sectional, cream leather, $12,000, ordered without my knowledge, sat in her living room like a throne, announcing her victory. My stomach twisted as I did the math in my head. 12 grand. That was my grocery budget for 3 months. That was my kids' back-to-school clothes. That was the buffer I'd been carefully building after the divorce, and my mother had just erased it. "Mom, what the hell?" I said into the phone, standing in her driveway, watching the delivery guys carry in the last cushion. "Why would you do this?" "Don't use that language with me, Ashley," she snapped back. "And before you start complaining about money, remember, I raised you on nothing. This is my house. I can do what I want." My name is Ashley Hartley. I'm 42 years old, and I should have seen this coming from a mile away. My mother, Karen, has never been good with boundaries. But this wasn't just about furniture. This was about control. This was about reminding me that no matter how hard I worked, no matter how responsible I'd been since Mark left, she could still pull the rug out from under me whenever she felt like it. 3 years earlier, everything had been different. Mark and I had bought our house in suburban Denver in 2018, a nice 4-bedroom with a 2-car garage and a yard where the kids could run around. The mortgage was steep, but we both had good jobs. I was a senior project manager at a tech company, pulling in 95 grand a year. Mark worked in commercial real estate. We had 2 kids, Tyler, who was 8, and Sophie, who was 6. Life felt solid, predictable, safe. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We had date nights once a month. We took a family vacation to Disneyland every summer. We paid our bills on time and kept our credit score above 750. We even had a little emergency fund, $20,000 sitting in a savings account just in case. My mother lived 20 minutes away in her own place, a cute cottage in the suburbs that she'd bought after my dad passed away 10 years ago. She was a retired school teacher, lived on her pension, and had always been the type to offer unsolicited advice about everything from my parenting to my marriage to my career choices. But she was family. She was there when Sophie was born. She helped us move into the house. She was present, even when she was annoying. "You're too hard on the kids," she'd say when she watched them. "You should let them stay up later on weekends." "Mark doesn't appreciate you enough," she'd whisper when she thought I wasn't listening. "You do all the emotional labor in that marriage." I'd roll my eyes and ignore her. That was our dynamic. She talked. I nodded and did my own thing anyway. Then came the Friday in April 2021, when everything cracked. I was sitting at my desk at work, finishing up a presentation for Monday's client call, when Mark texted me. "Can we talk when you get home? Something I need to tell you." Those 7 words hit different. I've replayed them 1,000 times since then. Something I need to tell you, not we need to discuss, not can we grab coffee? It was the phrasing of someone who'd already made up his mind, someone who was about to deliver news, not seek a conversation. I got home at 5:45. The kids were at Mark's mother's house. She'd picked them up from school. Mark was in the kitchen, standing by the counter, still in his work clothes, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm not happy," he said. Just like that, no preamble. "I haven't been happy for years, and I think we should separate." I remember the exact feeling, like the floor had tilted sideways. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. "Is there someone else?" I asked, though I already knew the answer from the way he couldn't meet my eyes. "It doesn't matter," he said. But it did matter. It mattered so much that I hired a divorce attorney the next Monday and started the process of dismantling the life we'd built together. The house sold 8 months later. The equity was split 50-50, which gave me about $85,000 after the realtor fees and closing costs. I used 40 of that to put a down payment on a smaller 3-bedroom townhouse on the other side of Denver, the kind of place where my kids would have their own rooms, but I wouldn't be drowning in a mortgage that required Mark's income to sustain. The rest I put in savings. It was my lifeline, my insurance policy against the world. My mother was magnificent during the divorce. She watched the kids 3 days a week so I could work. She brought casseroles over. She sat with me while I cried on her couch. She told me I was strong and that I'd get through this, and I believed her. "You're going to be okay, Ashley," she said one night, squeezing my hand. "Better than okay. You're going to build something amazing on your own. I know you will." And I did. Over the next 2 years, I got promoted to senior director. I took on more projects. I started making $120,000 a year. I paid off the credit card debt that had accumulated during the divorce. I bought a reliable Honda Civic. I started a college fund for the kids. Every month, I put money into that emergency savings account. By the time I got to the summer of 2023, I had $65,000 sitting there, untouched. Life felt stable again. Not perfect, but stable. The kids were adjusting. Tyler was in 4th grade and had made the soccer team. Sophie was in 2nd grade and had started taking piano lessons. I was dating occasionally. Nothing serious. Just trying to remember what it felt like to be wanted by someone other than my kids. And then my mother called me on a Tuesday afternoon in July. "Honey, I need to talk to you about something," she said. "Can you come over this weekend?" I drove over on Saturday morning, leaving the kids with a sitter. My mother had made coffee and banana bread, and she seemed nervous in a way I'd never seen before. She kept fiddling with her coffee mug, not drinking from it. "I've been thinking about my legacy," she said finally, "and I want to make some changes to my house. It's been the same for 10 years, and it's getting old. I want to make it beautiful before I'm too old to enjoy it." "That's nice, Mom," I said, not sure where this was going. "What kind of changes?" "I'm getting new furniture," she said. "Really nice furniture, and new flooring. Maybe paint. I want it to be a place where you and the kids actually want to spend time, where we can make memories." I felt a warm flutter in my chest. She was thinking about us. She was thinking about the future and making space for her grandchildren. It seemed sweet. "That sounds great," I said. "How much are we talking about?" "Oh, not too much. Maybe 20 or 30,000 total." My stomach did a small flip. That was a lot for someone on a teacher's pension, but she owned her house outright. If she wanted to spend her savings on renovations, that was her business. "Okay," I said carefully. "Have you thought about how you're going to pay for it?" She hesitated, and that hesitation should have told me everything I needed to know. "Well, I was thinking, you could help me with some of it," she said quietly. "Just as a loan. I'd pay you back." "How much is some of it?" I asked. "Maybe 15,000? I set my coffee down. $15,000 was my emergency fund. $15,000 was the difference between being secure and being terrified. "Mom, I can't do that," I said. "I have the kids, I have my mortgage, I have responsibilities." "I know you do," she said, and her voice changed. It got sharper. "But I'm your mother. I spent 42 years taking care of you. I think you could spend a little time taking care of me." There it was, the guilt, the obligation, the invisible debt she'd been keeping a tally of since the moment I was born. "That's not fair," I said, "and you know it." But she didn't let it go. She brought it up again the next week, and the week after that. She sent me links to furniture websites. She talked about how depressed she was about her house. She mentioned, casually, that she'd always been there for me, and now that I was doing so well, surely I could spare a little for my own mother. I held the line for 3 weeks, then she pulled the trigger. She ordered the Italian sectional without telling me. $12,000. She had it delivered to her house on a Tuesday, and when the bill came, she called me in a panic. "Ashley, I made a mistake," she said. "The sectional was more expensive than I thought. I can't pay for it. You have to help me. You have to." I stared at the phone, my hands shaking. "Why would you order something you couldn't afford?" I asked. "Because I knew you'd help me," she said simply. "Because you always do." And that's when I realized the truth. My mother had just spent money she didn't have, betting her entire future on the fact that I would bail her out. She had gambled with my financial security the same way Mark had gambled with my marriage, without asking, without discussing, without respecting my right to choose. I paid for the sectional. I paid the credit card bill. I wrote a check for $12,000 and watched my emergency fund drop to $53,000. And I told myself it wouldn't happen again. I told myself I'd learned my lesson and that I would set better boundaries. I was wrong. So very, very wrong. The next 12 months were a slow burn of financial bleeding that I didn't fully understand until it was too late. My mother called me in August, just 3 weeks after the sectional arrived. "Honey, the credit card company is being difficult about the payment plan. Can you help me set up autopay from your account?" I should have said no. I should have hung up the phone. But I was tired, and she sounded so small and helpless on the other end of the line that I just did it. I set up automatic transfers of $500 a month from my account to hers. "Just until you get back on your feet," I told myself, "just for a few months." But a few months turned into more months, and while those automatic transfers were draining my savings account every single month, my mother was already planning her next move. In October, she called again. This time, it was about the flooring. "The Italian sectional looks so beautiful, but the old carpet is making the whole room look cheap," she said. "I found this beautiful marble tile. It's only $8,000 to install." "Mom, no," I said firmly. "I'm not paying for that." "I'm not asking you to pay for it," she said, her voice tight. "I'm just telling you what I'm doing. But if you wanted to help, it would mean a lot." I didn't help. I held the line that time. I told her I couldn't afford it, that I had my own responsibilities, and that she needed to stop spending money she didn't have and expecting me to be her safety net. She got quiet. Then she said very calmly, "You know, I'm starting to understand why Mark left you." The words hit like a physical blow. I stood in my kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, and I felt something inside me crack. "Don't ever say that to me again," I whispered. "I'm just saying, maybe the problem isn't Mark. Maybe the problem is you." I hung up the phone and didn't answer when she called back. I didn't answer for 2 weeks, and then Tyler got sick. Strep throat, high fever, the whole thing, and I had to take him to the doctor. And my mother showed up at the house with soup and antibiotics and a card that said, "I'm sorry," inside. I let her back in. I always did. By November, the automatic payments to her credit card had added up to $2,500. My emergency fund was down to $50,000, and I was starting to panic about the holidays. Tyler wanted a PlayStation. Sophie wanted an air purifier for her room because she'd decided she had allergies. Mark had already told me he was taking them for Christmas week, which meant I needed to buy their gifts and wrap them and pretend everything was fine. My mother invited us all over for Thanksgiving. She made turkey and stuffing and pie, and the house smelled like family and tradition. But now when I looked around that house, all I saw was the $12,000 sectional and the empty spaces where the new marble tile was supposed to go. "We should talk about these transfers," I said to her quietly, while the kids watched the Thanksgiving Day parade in the living room. "I know," she said. "I'm sorry. I know I've been asking for a lot." "It's not just asking," I said. "It's that you ordered things without thinking about how you'd pay for them. You bet on the fact that I would bail you out. And I did. And now I'm drowning." "You're not drowning," she said. "You have a good job. You have savings." "Because I was responsible," I said, my voice shaking. "I made good choices. I didn't spend money I didn't have. And now you're punishing me for that by treating me like your personal bank account." She didn't respond. She just walked away and started pulling pies out of the oven, and that was the end of the conversation. By December, I'd stopped the automatic transfers. I sent her a text. "The $500 a month stops as of January 1st. You need to figure out how to pay your own bills." She didn't respond for 3 days. Then she called me at work. "I got a letter from the credit card company," she said. Her voice was small and scared. "They're suing me. I owe $17,000. They're talking about garnishing my pension." My stomach dropped. $17,000. The sectional had been 12, and apparently there were other charges I didn't know about. Furniture catalogs, home decor, things she'd ordered in small increments that I never saw the bills for. "Mom, I can't help you," I said. "I already gave you $12,000. "Please, Ashley," she said, and she was crying now. "Please. I don't know what to do. My pension is only $2,000 a month. If they garnish it, I won't be able to pay my mortgage. I'll lose the house." I sat at my desk, staring at my computer screen, feeling the weight of her panic crushing down on me. "I'll call my lawyer," I said finally, "but I'm not giving you any more money." That's when everything exploded. My mother hired a lawyer, a bankruptcy attorney named Richard Chen, and Richard Chen apparently decided that the best strategy was not to help her manage her debt, but to pursue me for financial abandonment of an elderly parent. I found out about this when I received a certified letter at my house. It was from a law firm I'd never heard of, claiming that I, as the primary earner and only child, had a legal obligation to support my mother. The letter cited state statutes about filial responsibility and claimed that I had encouraged her to make purchases and then abandoned her when she couldn't pay for them. It was the most insane thing I'd ever read. I called my own divorce attorney, Linda Morrison, immediately. She read the letter 3 times while I sat in her office, my hands shaking. "This is harassment," Linda said finally, "and it's not going to go anywhere. Filial responsibility laws are rarely enforced, especially when the parent has assets, which your mother does. She owns her house outright. She has a pension. This is a desperate move by a desperate attorney." "So it's not real?" I asked. "It's real in the sense that you've been served," Linda said, "but it's not a legitimate claim. We can file a motion to dismiss." We did, and the motion was granted. The judge threw out the lawsuit with prejudice, meaning my mother couldn't refile it. But it cost me $4,000 in legal fees, and it terrified me in a way I didn't expect. My own mother had sued me. She had paid an attorney to argue that I owed her money, that I had a legal obligation to finance her lifestyle. I didn't speak to her for 2 months. I sent her a text on Christmas Day. "Merry Christmas. I hope you're okay, but we need to take a break from seeing each other for a while." She called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer any of them. In February, I got a different kind of call. It was from a woman named Jennifer who worked at my mother's bank. She'd known my mother for years and had seen the credit card statements. "I probably shouldn't be calling you," Jennifer said, "but I'm worried about your mom. She's in serious financial trouble. That debt isn't just $17,000 anymore. She's taken out another credit line and charged another $15,000 on it." I felt cold. Why would she do that? "I think she's trying to pay off the first debt," Jennifer said quietly. "And it's not working. She's just digging herself deeper." After I hung up with Jennifer, I sat on my couch and cried. Not angry tears, sad, helpless tears. My mother was in crisis, and it was at least partially because of decisions I'd made to help her. And now she was making worse decisions because she was desperate. I called her that night. "We need to talk," I said, face to face. She agreed to meet me at a coffee shop on a Saturday afternoon. When I got there, she looked like she'd aged 10 years. She was thin and gray and exhausted. "I need to tell you something," I said, "and I need you to listen without interrupting. Can you do that?" She nodded. "I love you," I said, "but I can't be your solution. I can't bail you out. I can't be the person you call when you've made a financial mistake. I'm not equipped to do that, and it's destroying both of us. You need help, real help. You need to talk to a financial advisor or a bankruptcy attorney or a therapist, but it can't come from me." "I know," she said quietly. "I know. I've known for a long time. I didn't want to face it." "Face what?" I asked. "That I'm scared," she said. "I'm 68 years old, and I'm terrified of being alone. Your father is gone. You're all grown up, and I have this house that I love, but I'm on a fixed income and it's not enough. So I thought if I made the house beautiful and inviting, you and the kids would want to spend more time here. We'd be a family again, the way we used to be." I reached across the table and took her hand. "We can still be a family," I said, "but not like this. Not if you're trying to buy your way into my life." We talked for 3 hours that day. We talked about her fears and my boundaries, and the ways we'd both been hurting each other. And at the end of it, she agreed to see a therapist and to work with a financial advisor about her situation. It took 6 months, but she eventually filed for bankruptcy. The house was saved. Bankruptcy protected her primary residence. The credit card debt was discharged. Her pension was protected, and she had to rebuild her life on an actual budget, which meant the marble tile never happened, and the sectional stayed in her living room as a monument to the mistake she'd made. But here's the thing that nobody tells you about setting boundaries with family. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like loss. It feels like grief. I had to accept that my mother was a flawed person who made bad decisions. I had to accept that I couldn't fix her or save her. I had to accept that loving her meant sometimes saying no to her, even when it broke my heart. By the summer of 2024, a year after all of this started, my emergency fund had been rebuilt to $60,000. I was dating someone, a kind man named David, who worked in accounting and who understood why I was so cautious about money. Tyler made the soccer team again. Sophie won a piano competition. My mother and I saw each other once a month. We were careful with each other. We were kind but not careless. And in its own way, that was better than what we'd had before. One Saturday, I took the kids over to her house. We ordered pizza and watched a movie on that $12,000 sectional, and my mother laughed at something Sophie said. And for a moment, I could see her the way I'd seen her before all of this. Just my mom, trying her best. But I never forgot the lesson. I never forgot what it cost me to learn that even the people we love the most can betray us, and that protecting ourselves isn't selfish, it's survival. The money I'd given her wasn't just money, it was trust, it was faith, it was a belief that she would honor my sacrifice. She didn't, and I had to forgive her for that without ever letting her do it again. That's the thing nobody tells you when you're young and naive and you think love conquers all. Sometimes love has to be fierce and protective. Sometimes it has to say no. And sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who teach you the hardest lessons about who you are and what you're worth.